The moment Tommy thought he had finally broken free from the shadows of the past, the ground beneath him began to shift. What he believed was a revenge-fueled resurgence, a chance to reclaim control, rebuild CTT, and outmaneuver Galeno, was quietly morphing into something far darker. Every contract signed, every handshake made, every calculated risk he took was being observed by someone he trusted most. Rebecca. The woman who stood beside him through the chaos, who offered counsel with unwavering calm, may not have been the ally he believed. Season 3 doesn't just pick up the pieces of Tommy's revenge era, it silently turns the entire board against him, with a player whose moves are invisible, precise, and potentially fatal. And if the whispers are true, Rebecca isn't just an attorney, she might be FBI. And if that's the case, Tommy's war isn't only with Galeno or with his rivals, it's with a system watching him from the inside out, patiently cataloging every misstep he doesn't even know he's making. Tommy Briggs walks into the CTT headquarters with the confidence of a man who has just rewritten the rules. The office hums with activity, drilling contracts and investor reports piling high on polished desks, the smell of ambition mingling with faint traces of industrial grease. From the outside, it looks like a company at its peak, an empire rising from the ashes of past betrayals. But beneath that polished veneer, the tension is palpable. Tommy doesn't see it yet, but every eye on him is calculating, measuring, waiting. Among them, Rebecca's presence stands out, though only in subtle ways. She moves through the office with deliberate precision, her posture impeccable, her gaze steady, catching small details that escape everyone else. There's a quiet authority in the way she navigates the chaos, a calm that borders on unnerving, as if she not only anticipates problems before they arrive, but also knows how to contain them without a hint of effort. From day one, she's more than a COO, more than a legal counselor. Her influence spreads across every department, touching the deals, the negotiations, and even the whispers in the break room. Her advice is measured, always seemingly timely, almost too perfect. She points Tommy towards strategic moves with a casual smile, suggesting approaches that feel natural, yet yield maximum benefit. He nods along, unaware that each decision he makes under her guidance could be feeding into a much larger system, one that doesn't serve him, but observes him. Tommy's instinct is to trust the people who help him, to believe in loyalty forged through shared trials, yet Rebecca's loyalty is enigmatic. She's steady under pressure, never flinching, never showing a trace of impatience or fear, even when Galeno's threats loom large, and Cammy's shadow still hangs over the remnants of the MTech's empire. Her calmness feels almost unnatural, like a force of its own, bending the room subtly toward her without anyone noticing. The first weeks of CTT's operations in Season 3 pass in a blur of deals, drilling contracts, and the careful construction of a new empire. Tommy relishes the victories, the sense of control that comes from building something from scratch after the chaos of MTech's. Investors cheer, boards approve, and the numbers grow. Yet every step forward is watched, recorded, analyzed, though he doesn't know it. Monty's hidden files, the documents with no electronic footprint, weren't an accident. They weren't just remnants of a corrupt system, they were a trail of red flags, quietly pointing toward the need for federal oversight. And Rebecca's rise to COO and chief counsel isn't coincidence. She has access to everything, the contracts, the internal communications, the financial flows. She isn't just inside the company. She's embedded at the heart of it, a silent presence that observes without interference, ready to act at precisely the right moment. Even Tommy's instincts, honed from years surviving the ruthless corporate landscape, aren't enough to spot her subtle influence. He responds to the threats he can see, Galeno's pressure, Cammy's interference, competitors' schemes, but what he can't see is a web being spun from within. Every handshake, every deal, every strategy meeting is filtered through her perspective. Her questions, her suggestions, her corrections, they're small, seemingly inconsequential, but they shift the trajectory of the company, and unknowingly, Tommy himself. Season 3 immediately establishes this tension. The audience knows the potential danger, Tommy does not. This dramatic irony is the engine driving the suspense. We watch him take confident steps, fully believing he's in command, while the pieces of a federal trap are quietly locking into place around him. Rebecca's interactions with Tommy are particularly telling. She never overplays, never intrudes. A suggestion here, a correction there, a subtle nudge in the direction she wants, but nothing overt. It's invisible strategy, the hallmark of someone trained not to lead from the front, but to shape outcomes quietly. Her calm during board meetings, her ability to dismantle legal obstacles with precision, her uncanny foresight in anticipating risks before they materialize, it all points to a depth of training and authority far beyond a typical corporate lawyer. Observers might think she's merely efficient or brilliant, but those who look closer start to see the patterns, a presence that does more than manage, a mind that calculates with federal-level precision. Even as Tommy basks in the momentum of his revenge era, small cracks begin to appear. Delayed permits, sudden audits, unexpected compliance reviews, tiny events that might seem coincidental, but under a closer lens suggest an invisible hand at work. And always, Rebecca is there, not reacting, but gently guiding, smoothing over disruptions, ensuring that the company moves forward without incident. Her calm is not just reassurance, it's control. Season 3 leverages this quiet tension brilliantly, showing us a protagonist confident in his world, while a silent, unseen threat observes his every choice. The stage is set for a confrontation that is not immediate, but inevitable. A collision between perception and reality, where trust itself becomes a weapon, and the most dangerous enemy is the one he never suspects is already inside his empire. As the days of CTT's rise unfold, the contrast between what Tommy perceives and what is actually happening becomes increasingly stark. From the outside, it's a classic comeback story. A man wronged by powerful rivals rises again, builds a company from the ground up, and proves that cunning, grit, and loyalty can overcome even the darkest betrayals. Investors celebrate the deals, employees rally behind his vision, and the public sees a triumphant figure who appears untouchable. But beneath that surface, the game is far more complex. The very systems Tommy believes he controls are operating on a level he cannot access. Contracts, drilling operations, financial transfers, investor meetings, each step forward is quietly documented, analyzed, and cross-referenced by someone with authority beyond his understanding. Rebecca. Her presence is subtle but constant. A calm nod in a meeting, a carefully timed question, a casual remark that seems trivial but prompts a significant reaction. All these small moves shape the trajectory of CTT without drawing attention. She never overreaches. She never forces a decision, yet her influence is unmistakable to those who watch closely. There's a deliberate rhythm to her actions, a precision that feels almost surgical. Every decision she guides Tommy toward benefits him on the surface, but feeds a larger system designed to observe, to record, and to assess. In a world where every handshake, every signature, and every casual conversation can become evidence, her role becomes chillingly clear. She isn't just helping CTT succeed, she is embedding herself into every layer of its operations, collecting intelligence with quiet efficiency. Tommy remains unaware. His mind is consumed with the visible threats. Galino's money, Cammie's lingering influence, competitors who still resent his ascent. He doesn't notice the subtle, almost imperceptible shifts in the company's environment. Permits that take longer than expected, audits appearing without warning, regulatory reviews that coincide with key deals. All of it feels like bad luck or external interference. He attributes delays to bureaucracy, to Galino's lingering pressure, to the unpredictability of a fast-growing company. The truth, however, is far more sinister. These small disruptions are carefully orchestrated, nudged by a presence he trusts implicitly. And in every instance, Rebecca is there, observing the results, taking note, never revealing the full scope of her involvement. Season 3 frames these moments masterfully. The audience sees the disparity. Tommy moves forward with confidence, believing he is navigating a business landscape with skill and authority, while we, the viewers, recognize the invisible web closing around him. Dramatic irony drives suspense, each decision he makes potentially playing into a larger federal investigation that he cannot even imagine. Rebecca's calm demeanor contrasts sharply with the chaos that surrounds him, making her influence feel almost supernatural. She isn't simply solving problems, she is shaping outcomes without overt intervention, bending circumstances subtly, like a shadow moving in tandem with the light. Her relationship with Tommy is particularly layered. She doesn't challenge him openly, nor does she need to. Her guidance feels collaborative, her advice supportive, and her presence reassuring. Tommy interprets this as loyalty, a partnership forged in shared struggles. He sees a competent legal mind helping him rebuild an empire, someone who understands the stakes and can provide clarity in moments of uncertainty. What he cannot see is the level of control she exerts over his perception. Every suggestion she makes, every plan she refines, every risk she helps him navigate is filtered through her hidden agenda. Whether or not she is FBI, her behavior mirrors the playbook of a trained federal operative. Gather intelligence, embed deeply, influence subtly, and always remain undetected until action becomes unavoidable. Even the boardroom interactions highlight her methodical approach. When disputes arise, Rebecca listens more than she speaks. Her questions are calculated, designed to reveal vulnerabilities without exposing her own. Her comments steer the discussion subtly, turning confrontations into opportunities to guide outcomes without anyone realizing they've been led. The brilliance of her presence is in its deniability. On the surface, she is just doing her job, offering advice, interpreting contracts, smoothing over friction. Beneath the surface, however, every move is a deliberate stroke in a painting Tommy cannot yet see, one that depicts a picture of his empire under federal scrutiny. As Season 3 progresses, the tension escalates. Small anomalies in operations begin to compound. Delays in permits affect drilling schedules. Investor confidence wavers slightly. Federal audits coincide with major company milestones. To an outside observer, these may appear as standard corporate risks, the unavoidable turbulence of a growing company. But when viewed through the lens of a federal investigation, patterns emerge. These events are not random. They are strategically aligned to observe how Tommy reacts under pressure, how the company responds to scrutiny, and how Rebecca positions herself within every scenario. Every interaction between Tommy and Rebecca is charged with subtext. A casual comment, a shared laugh, even her measured nods during high-stakes discussions carry double weight. To Tommy, she is a stabilizing presence, someone he can trust implicitly. To the audience, she is a puzzle, a shadow of potential danger, her true intent hidden beneath layers of calm professionalism. The suspense arises from the duality of perception. Tommy is confident, yet the viewer senses the inevitability of an unseen threat. Season 3 thrives on this tension, allowing the audience to understand the trap forming while Tommy remains blissfully unaware. Rebecca's meticulous control is further emphasized through her access to information. She reviews contracts before they reach Tommy, interprets financial flows with insight beyond ordinary corporate understanding, and anticipates moves by competitors and regulators alike. Every small adjustment she makes, every correction or recommendation, subtly shifts the trajectory of events. The brilliance of her potential federal role lies in the invisibility of her influence. Tommy assumes he is the architect of every victory, yet the threads of his success are interwoven with her careful observation and intervention. And so, the trap tightens slowly but unmistakably. The audience sees the pattern emerging. Rebecca's calm, intelligence, and strategic precision may not be mere professional competence. Every interaction with Tommy builds a record. Every suggestion she makes becomes a data point. Every moment of guidance contributes to an unseen map of his empire. Season 3 constructs suspense, not through immediate action, but through the weight of anticipation, the slow, suffocating realization that every decision Tommy makes is potentially feeding a system beyond his control. The stakes are clear. If Rebecca is indeed FBI, then Tommy's world is already infiltrated, and every move he celebrates as a victory could be laying the foundation for his downfall. By now, CTT is no longer just a company. It's a living, breathing organism, growing faster than Tommy anticipated, yet quietly vulnerable in ways he cannot perceive. The drilling operations expand, contracts are signed at a furious pace, and investors flood in, all feeding the illusion of control. On the surface, it is a comeback for the ages. Tommy has reasserted himself, outmaneuvered rivals, and positioned CTT as a rising titan in the industry. But beneath that veneer of power, the foundations are shifting under a weight that he cannot yet detect. And at the center of it, Rebecca moves with precision that borders on predatory subtlety, blending loyalty with surveillance, guidance with observation, and presence with control. Every boardroom meeting and strategic discussion is a lesson in dramatic irony. Tommy believes he is navigating these treacherous waters with skill honed from years of survival. He reacts to visible threats: Galino's financial pressure, Cammy's strategic interference, competitors vying for market share. But what he does not see are the invisible maneuvers shaping outcomes behind the scenes. Delayed permits that frustrate operations, compliance checks that appear suspiciously timed, federal audits that coincide perfectly with high-stakes deals. These anomalies are dismissed as chance, as external friction by Tommy. Yet to the audience, each small disruption is a deliberate signal of the trap tightening around him. Every move he makes, every decision he celebrates, every risk he takes is now part of a system meticulously recorded, analyzed, and cataloged, with Rebecca quietly at the center, observing every reaction, every instinct, every slip. Rebecca's calmness becomes almost hypnotic. Where others panic, argue, or react emotionally, she remains unflappable. It is this unshakable composure that creates both her power and her danger. To Tommy, she is a rock, a reliable partner capable of navigating crises, untangling legal complications, and smoothing the path for the company. But the audience sees the subtle brilliance of her design. She operates not to simply support, but to orchestrate. Her interactions are measured, her words perfectly chosen. Each conversation with Tommy, each recommendation in a meeting, each piece of advice during a crisis is a thread woven into a larger fabric that he cannot yet comprehend. Season 3 heightens tension by focusing on what Tommy cannot anticipate. His instinctive brilliance has always kept him alive, but instincts alone cannot detect an enemy that is present, but invisible, guiding outcomes while remaining undetected. The brilliance of the writing lies in its methodical pacing. Every small decision by Tommy, every calculated risk, every moment of trust he extends to Rebecca is a setup, a tiny step deeper into the trap. The audience is aware, heart racing, as we witness him operate in a world where the rules have quietly shifted without his knowledge. Suspense is built not with explosions or dramatic confrontations, but with the terrifying realization that control is an illusion. Even within the inner circle, subtle signs point to Rebecca's unusual influence. Cooper notices her foresight, the uncanny timing of her suggestions, and the way she positions herself in key meetings. Employees whisper about her calm under pressure, the precision with which she navigates legal and operational obstacles. No one questions her competence. Everyone admires it. But a sense of something hidden, something deliberately measured, begins to surface. Those who notice too much are quickly silenced by their own doubts or the magnetic authority she exudes. Rebecca has mastered the art of being seen, but not scrutinized, a shadow that blends seamlessly into the light, her intentions shielded beneath layers of professionalism and apparent loyalty. As CTT expands its operations, Tommy grows bolder. The success fuels his confidence, masking the cracks forming beneath the surface. He begins negotiating larger deals, taking more risks, and trusting in his judgment and in Rebecca's guidance without hesitation. This boldness is precisely what the trap requires. The more he assumes control, the more he exposes himself. Each contract signed, each investor deal finalized, each risky drilling operation initiated is cataloged, recorded, and cross-referenced. If Rebecca is FBI, her role is clear. She is not an obstacle or a threat yet, but a meticulous observer, ensuring that when action is necessary, there is a detailed record of every step he has taken. The tension escalates further when minor operational disruptions appear. A permit delayed by weeks suddenly arrives. A routine compliance inspection coincides with a major financial transaction. A federal notice is filed just as Tommy completes a deal with Galino's money. Each incident is small enough to dismiss individually, but together they form a subtle pattern that begins to unnervingly frame the narrative. To Tommy, these are annoyances, bureaucratic friction, and coincidences. To the audience, they are breadcrumbs leading to the revelation of an invisible adversary, a shadow inside his empire, quietly shaping outcomes.